Hey YouTube, Zach Guy here. Today I want to talk to you about the Cold Steel Voyager. Now it's into its third generation of the knife now. And I have all three generations of the medium and the large. These are the mediums. This is the large. I have all three generations of those two knives. I have the first generation of the extra large, which is a 5-inch blade, and the second generation of the 2X, which is a 6-inch blade. I have not gotten a third generation extra large, which is a 5.5-inch blade. They're not making the 2X anymore, so mainly because of the price of it, and I'm not that interested in the larger one, to tell you the truth. Now, to start with, the first generation, in the 90s when I first came back from overseas, I was at a knife shop and saw these knives. The Cold Steel Voyager in the 3-inch. And I'd always wanted a small buck 110 that had a 3-inch blade, basically, that was easy to carry. And when I opened this up, this reminded me of the Buck 110 or the Buck Ranger. I believe that's the 112. And I was going, I like this knife. It's nice and light. Carry in my pocket all day, won't notice it. Had a plastic clip. Didn't have to worry about a belt sheath. So I got this knife. Very handy knife, like the knife. Then I found out that there was a 4-inch version. And again, I was going, the Buck knife, light version of the Buck knife. And I got that, use it on campouts. The small one I carried around was a daily carry at the time. And I'd use it, and then this I used out in the woods. I've used it to process deer, rabbit, and so on. General camp use knife, pretty good. And as you can see, it's got the plastic. This is Zydex handle and clip, or the Zydex material. And as you can see, this is a clip point plain edge. This also came in as a Tanto plain edge, and also a serrated version of both the Tanto and the clip point. I don't like serrated, so I got all mine straight edge. Now this became for Cold Steel, the Zydex clip became an issue, and I knew a few guys that had these knives, and this clip broke off for one reason or another. Whatever they were doing, they must have been a lot rougher on them than I was, but they broke off the plastic clip. So Cold Steel modified the Voyager, came out with the second generation version. Same blade design, except now they had a metal pocket clip. It was removable if you wanted to use this as a traditional pocket knife. However, you could not switch it over to the other side. Has a lanyard hold. Both of them had lanyard holes. Thumb stud. Open up very smooth. Nice click to it. Blade steel stayed the same. AUS 8 for both the medium Voyager, first and second generation. Other than changing the pocket clip, they changed the contour of the knife, whereas you can see, hopefully here, hold them up here. The first generation came down, narrowed for the pocket clip, and then on the second generation it was the whole handle was more rounded, and it didn't thin out for the pocket clip. The pocket clip was up on top of it, so the profile changed a little bit there. Then they went to the third generation, larger handle. It was a wider handle compared to the second generation one. You see how much bigger the handle is, and this is the medium. Again, pocket clip, much more aggressive texture on it, better grip, but the pocket clip can be moved over to the other side for left or right hand carry, but only tip up. And the blade profile changed. Still clip point, but it's much wider. And the Tanto is the same way. They made the blade a bit wider to go with the larger handle. Now on the medium, as you can see here, I can get 3 fingers because they've got this handle cut out here. I can get 3 fingers in there. My fourth, my pinky, is up on that. Makes it not real uncomfortable, but it just is kind of a weird way you have to hold it in order to use it. Not a big fan of the medium, but the 4-inch, my hand fits in there just right. Now, someone who has larger hands, and I have medium-sized hands, my hand, my grip, this knife works fine for me. Someone with the larger hands can have the same problem I have with the medium, where that pinky's going to be up there on the top. Just not going to be the greatest thing, but I like this. This one gets thrown into my EDC rotation every once in a while. Now, on the 5-inch, which is a little stiff, don't carry it that much. I have carried it some, but I don't carry it very often. Mainly because where I live in Oklahoma, that's pretty borderline as to whether it's a legal carry, and in some places it is not legal, even though they have the preemption bill. The state law, I believe, is 4.5 inches that you can carry out in public. Taking this camping with me, having it in my bag, not a big deal. Same goes for the 6-inch, the 2X. That one opens up real easy. Pretty nicely balanced. I mean, you can do a little bit of chopping if you want. It's got some weight to it. I'll go over the specs here in a moment. And it's rounded, contours rounded. Again, you can't move the... You can remove the pocket clip, but you can't put it on the other side. But you can choke up on it a little bit to do some fine work. This is something you probably want to carry around when you want to intimidate somebody when you pull it out. Some folks might find a use for it. I really don't. I just got it to put with my collection. As you see, can tell it has not been used very much. No nicks or beat up on the clip. I think I carried it once or twice. Now let me go over the specs on these. For the first generation knives, like I said, it's the GRIV-EX handles. For the first and second generation, they both use the same material for the handles, GRIV-EX. On the medium, closed, the handle is 3 7/8 inches. Opened, it's 6 3/4 inches. The blade is 3 inches. The weight is 2 ounces, and the width is 3/8 of an inch. The steel on the blade is AUS 8. Put that right there. Then the second generation, again, Zydex handles. All the dimensions are the same. All the specs are the same weight. Only thing is, it's a little bit thicker. It's 7/16 of an inch, and it's AUS 8. Well, keep that one open. I'll close this one here. Now, the third generation changes up a little bit. Handle is 4 1/4 inches. Open, it's 7 1/4 inches. The blade is 3 inches. The weight is 3.5 ounces, and it's 5/8 of an inch thick. And you saw how much bigger the blade was. You can look right here and see the difference in the size of the handles, and they're both medium. It does have a bit more weight. You can, it's an extra 1.5 ounces. There's quite a bit of difference there. I like the broader blade on it, but like I said, when I'm gripping it, that pinky's got to find a place. You know, if I'm just cutting some cord, it's not that big a deal. But if you want to do any long-term cutting, you know, processing food in camp and so on, nah, it's not going to work. Now on the large, the handle on it, move this up a little bit, make some room for it. On the large, the handle is 5 1/4 inches. Open is 9 1/4 inches. The blade is 4 1/16 of an inch. The weight is 3.8 ounces, and it's 3/8 of an inch thick. Now, right here, at this point, it's a 1/2 inch, but if you look at it, you can see how it slopes down to make room for the pocket clip. It goes down to 3/8 of an inch. And like I said, basic camp knife, prepping food, processing meat and so on. Good knife. Pretty comfortable knife. I like it. And as you can probably tell on the blade there, it got used a bit. Got some gunk on there. And the second generation 4-inch, all the dimensions are the same, except it is a 1/2 inch wide all the way down, and the pocket clip is on the top, has a lanyard hole. And if you look on this one, it says Voyager VG1 stainless. And over here on all of them it says cold steel, made in Japan. Now, come to the third generation. Instead of it being engraved on the blade, it's laser etched, just says Voyager. On this side it says cold steel in Taiwan. The third generations are now made in Taiwan. Like I said, the grip on this is really great for me. I have used this several times going camping, doing basic camp chores around the camp, whittling sticks to cook a hot dog or make a tent peg or what have you, hanger for the cook pot and so on. I've used this processed food, chopped up veggies and meat and so on. And as I said, the texture on this is much more aggressive than on the previous knives. You can see the difference there on the checkering and the texture. And I don't know if you can tell the difference there, but on these they have the triad lock. Second generation did not have that. It's a standard lock back. Still no movement on it. Very good lockup, and this one got used quite a bit. On the third generation, you can see the post that's going through there that it locks into, and then this goes down and locks into the blade. Very, very firm lockup. There is absolutely no play on that. Okay, the specs on the third generation large are 5 1/4 inches closed, 9 1/4 inches open, 4-inch blade. It weighs in at 5 ounces. It's 1.2 ounces heavier, and it's 5/8 of an inch in thickness on the handle. And again, look at the handles. One's much more beefier. That's where you're getting your weight. The handle material on the third generation is GRIV-EX. It's GRIV-EX. GRIV. I can't pronounce it. I'm rotten at that. So the handle material is a little bit different on these two. And then on the extra large, it's 6 inches closed, 11 inches open, with a 5-inch blade. The width is a 1/2 inch, and it's made with AUS 8 steel. And then the 2X, which they've discontinued now, with the third generation, that is 7 inches closed, 13 inches open with a 6-inch blade. And it is a 1/2 inch thick also. And it uses AUS 8 steel. Around the camp, use around the house. They're a handy knife. A lot of people find the 4-inch more useful than the 3-inch. I like smaller pocket knives. I like the 3-inch, but when I'm out camping and whatnot, I normally grab one of the 4 inches if I'm taking one of my cold steel knives. They've all lasted really well. Out of these, they got used quite a bit, as you can tell on the second gen, on the medium. The clips worn pretty well, and even on the third generation, clips worn pretty well. Well, not that not as much, but I've gotten more to where I use the multi-tools more, or my Swiss Armies more, than I do a single blade lock knife. I do like the cold steel knives. When I was first buying them, they were, the value I thought was really great for what I was paying for them. They've really gone up in price now. I believe I recently looked, and these are going suggested retail price on the 3rd gen 4-inch blade is almost $100. You're talking 120 to 130 for the extra large. That's one reason I haven't gotten it. It's I believe fairly expensive, and I can get some other stuff with that instead. So, hope you enjoyed this review of the Cold Steel Voyager. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And remember, always be prepared.